Kalimera. It is a great honor and privilege to be here with you today. It's an honor and privilege, first of all, to be able to represent my country, Romania, here in Cyprus, one of the most important tourist destinations in the Mediterranean, and especially Nicosia, the largest city on the island of Cyprus. You can feel the positive energy, the hospitality, and the good spirit here from the moment you step off the plane, to an extent unmatched almost anywhere else in the world. It is also an honor and privilege to participate in this conference, and thank you our great host, Mr. Antola Papadopoulou, and our chairperson, Alumni, of this session, and Romy Wakil, whom I can truly consider good friends and exceptional organizers. There is so much I will learn from all of you participating in this conference here today. So I would prefer to think of this presentation, I will try to make it very short, as a time of sharing among peers. First and foremost, I've been asked to focus on our discussion on the present reality for marginalized ethnic youth in Europe. Although the grounds for social exclusion, for marginalization of adults and youngsters are largely the same, it is worthwhile to go deeper into the specific case of the latter, the youngsters, especially the marginalized ethnic youth. Youngsters find themselves in a crucial stage of their life where one mistake can often be paid for repeatedly well into adulthood. A number of different theories and frameworks look at the importance of the social inclusion of youngsters from different perspectives. I will briefly introduce them here for your reference. If you feel like delving deeper into the matter, we can take a look at exclusion from a macro perspective and emphasize the role of individuals as potential workers and results in a subsequent focus on building those skills that increase chances of employment. Personal characteristics such as parental socioeconomic status, gender, disability, health, ethnicity, religion, place of residence, and geographical mobility are among the factors that may have an impact on unemployment, on low wages, a good education, like my previous colleague said, training, good health, and similar productivity enhancing investment during one's life will pay off later. On the other hand, there is this micro perspective, which starts from the notion that over time an individual may move through a sequence of socially patterned, culturally defined, age-graded roles and social transitions. Central to this framework are the concepts of trajectories, transitions, and turning points. Life is seen as comprising a number of trajectories and of considerable duration, marked by sequences of transitions or turning points. You know, everybody knows that transitions are changes in state or entries and exits to a role, and turning points are relatively abrupt life events, often accidental or not foreseen. Social exclusion is seen as a trajectory and not just a simple transition. I find this particularly interesting because it reminds us of the fact that the different roles one takes on during the course of life are often socially constructed and thus different from culture to culture and nation to nation. Youth is such a socially constructed age category with variable expectations attached to it depending one's perspective or background. The roles that youth is expected to transition into are also variable. For instance, adult worker, citizen and community participant, spouse, parent and household manager, each requiring a different preparation and set of skills. With the transition to adulthood roles in mind, youngsters today are in need of ample experimentation with their identities and how they see themselves in the future. The classical notion of young women becoming housewives in traditional families and young men no longer just following their father's path directly from school, just like my colleague said before, is no longer realistic in our modern society. Yet, this experimentation with various identities and rebellion against older generations is less straightforward for those growing up in poorer circles and socio-economically homogeneous neighborhoods. What steps can be taken to respond to minority issues is my question today. What are minority rights and minority protection? Human rights protection is primarily aimed at individuals. However, different groups of human beings, such as women and children, have been acknowledged. Access to justice is absolutely essential. Minorities often lack access to justice and equal protection of the law due to discrimination. Discrimination, unfortunately, can occur in various stages of law enforcement, from interaction with police to presentation of court cases and sentencing, and at higher levels of legislative drafting. Minorities are more vulnerable to arbitrary arrests and are less likely to receive a fair trial due to discrimination, underrepresentation in legal services, higher levels of social exclusion and language barriers. The absence of non-discrimination legislation and/or the lack of exclusion and language barriers without discrimination. Well, it is important to recall everyone's right, I mean, when I say everyone, without discrimination, to equal treatment before the tribunals and all other organs administering justice. This applies to all minorities, including migrant communities. Just like Theo Gabriel previously mentioned, I cannot end my speech without my motto, and I quote Nelson Mandela again. Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. To sum up, for any judicial problem, you can confidently call the police and all the habilitating institutions. The judge is the guarantor of the human fundamental rights and freedoms. The three I's that characterize justice are independence, impartiality, and integrity. In a democracy, the people itself take decisions for its part through representatives. Democracy means rule of law, the supremacy of law, human rights, separation of powers. Justice is not the third power in the state, but one of the three powers. The law is issued to be complied with. We are free in compliance with the law. So our tomorrows need new and different solutions today. And let's recall the following insight. The dogmas of the quiet past are inadequate for the stormy present and future. As our circumstances are anew, we must think anew and act anew. So, dear friends, thank you very much for your patience. I'm now looking forward to hearing your perspectives by the end of this wonderful conference today. Thank you very much.